Hi, it's Louise at Spiral Bright Insight. I want to talk today about the Super Galactic Centre, but also the South Node. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, first of all, let me introduce myself. I am Louise Platt. I'm a galactic and an intuitive astrologer, and I use sort of traditional astrology and weave in the fixed points and, the fixed stars and cosmic points in to kind of give us, I guess, a more cosmic and galactic experience of astrology. And really, with the videos and the content I produce, my aim is to try and explain or just share some insight about how the cosmic and galactic energies are working with us. Now, it's particularly sort of significant at this time as our consciousness is really taking a massive quantum leap. So, if you're interested in my work and finding out more, I do have a website, spiralbright.co.uk. Also have a sign up button on there to sign up for my mailing list. So again, please do visit that and check it out. But yeah, I want to talk about sort of the South Node, the nodal axis, and also the Super Galactic Centre specifically in this video. And the reason for that is, as I record this video, it's the 30th of November today. The South Node is at 4 degrees of Libra. So moving sort of steadily, obviously in retrograde motion back towards the Supergalactic Centre, which is at 222, 223 degrees of Libra. So this is a conjunction by transit that is already very active. Now, the reason I am being drawn to it specifically today is because I have natal Pluto at 4 degrees 1 minute of Libra. And I was checking sort of the transits to see who else this might be affecting. And pretty much if you were born between August 1972 and October 1973, then this transit of the South Node is going to be really sort of hitting your natal Pluto as we speak, and certainly over the next sort of 6 weeks leading up to the middle of January 2025. Now, anybody born between those dates is also going to have natal Pluto very close to, if not exactly, conjunct the Supergalactic Centre. So this is why, I'm speaking to you if you were born at this time within those dates, but also, collectively, we are all sort of building up to this alignment with the South Node, the transiting South Node in Libra, hitting the Supergalactic Centre. And what exactly does that mean for all of us? So the moon's nodes are currently working through the signs of Libra and Aries, with the South Node in Libra, the North Node in Aries. Now, this transit lasts for 18 months. We are in the final stretch of that transit because the moon's nodes will shift signs on the 15th of January next year, I believe it is, for the exact date. And they will change, they will move into Pisces and Virgo. Now, the nodes always move backwards. So they start at 29 degrees of the sign, they move back to 0. And we are currently at sort of 4 degrees of Libra and Aries. So when we're working with the South Node, this is about energies that we are ready to let go of, energies and situations, parts of our life and our experience that we have outgrown. So this is very much a sort of release and letting go energy. And when we're working with the South Node in Libra, this is ultimately about relationships. And traditional astrologers will say Libra is about relationships, about close relationships, your partner, your business partner, and people that you spend a lot of time with and that you've got a lot of investment in and commitment to. But, as I like to sort of explore a more soul-based astrology, for me, Libra also extends to your experience of the world outside of yourself. So this is how you relate to other people and to the world, to experiences outside of yourself. And it also covers agreements and arrangements and therefore contracts. So, Libra can show us where we have soul contracts. And as the South Node is working through Libra, this is about releasing, finalizing, tying up and ending specific soul contracts that are part of our soul journey. They're part of our purpose for being here. But, as the nodes sort of approach those final few degrees of this axis, that whole process is really going to speed up and become quite noisy, quite loud, quite insistent, because as with any sort of sign, the very final degrees of that sign, and bear in mind we are working in retrograde, so the final degrees in the node of the nodal signs are that sort of 3 degrees back to 0. As we hit those final degrees, there can be a real sort of rush, almost like a last minute dash, a panic, if you like, to try and make sure that all the work that needs to be done within that transit is fully done, that it's thoroughly done, and it's drawn to a close, it's completed. So we're going to see, a lot of relationships that we've outgrown, agreements, contracts that we have sort of come to a natural end and learn, or we need to, all of that. There's going to be so many endings as we work through these final degrees of Libra for the South Node and Aries for the North Node. Now, obviously, I'm talking very much about the South Node here. So wherever... because it's not just our relationship that we have and how we relate to other people. This can also include ideas, beliefs, our attachment to and our relationship with old paradigms that we have outgrown, beliefs that we just no longer aligned with. And ultimately, when we're working with this axis, we are letting go of outdated patterns, programs, relationships. We're letting go of anything that we have outgrown within the Libra energies in order so that we can grow into more of who we're meant to be, in order that we can expand and evolve at a soul level. So we are really kind of being stretched towards the Aries part of this axis to become more sovereign, to become more aligned with who we are supposed to be, to claim more of our identity and the fullness of ourself, to become more empowered, to embrace courage, to kind of step into that leadership role, to be the pioneer, to kind of step into new lands, new ways of being, new ways of relating. So, this is all part of our spiritual and our soul's evolutionary journey. That as we sort of come towards the Super Galactic Centre, which is one of the most powerful sort of cosmic points that we work with in galactic astrology, it is stronger and more powerful than the Galactic Centre. It is described, I think Philip Sedgwick describes it as the grandmother. If we have the Galactic Centre as the mother and that sort of homing signal back to source, back to consciousness, back to the centre of all that is, we have the sort of overarching energy and influence of the Super Galactic Centre, which is that grandmother energy. So almost like it, encapsulating more wisdom, more depth, more knowledge, more insight. And we can go further. We can go to the Great Attractor, which is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius, and we can go further still to the Shapley at 2 degrees of Scorpio. But we're working here at this point with the Super Galactic Centre. So whenever the Super Galactic Centre is being transited by a planet or an angle, obviously the moon's nodes in this case, it's like the influence is magnified and it is taken to cosmic and galactic proportions. We're not talking about the everyday, mundane 3D reality here, sort of life on Earth, our human existence. This is stretching the influence of the nodal axis way out beyond where we can even begin to fathom and imagine. And I'm not going to lie, when I was sort of trying to think about how I was going to sort of present this information, how I was going to talk about this point and this conjunction, I'm not going to lie, it's really difficult to kind of put it into words because we don't have sort of words to describe the potency and the magnitude of this point. Now, it's said, it is bigger than 30 galaxies. How big is a galaxy? I couldn't really tell you. Times that by 30. I've heard elsewhere it's the sort of the mass of 30 trillion suns. Well, again, a trillion is not a number in my sort of frame of reference, really. So let's just say it is big, it's powerful, and it stretches us way beyond sort of anything that we could possibly even entertain or imagine. So, we're talking about like almost like a monster, a cosmic monster. But the way it works is it's very similar to a black hole. Again, I am not an expert with black holes and astronomy, by any means. I would recommend looking at Philip Sedgwick as a fantastic source in terms of all the cosmic points. Alex Miller has also written a really good book about black holes, which I own. So, and I'm sure there's lots of other sources out there. Again, if you know of any, please feel free to share, because people watching this are going to be interested for sure. So this point, this influence of this point really magnifies everything that it touches. It stretches everything it touches. It takes us beyond. It devours, it also alchemizes, it is the point of creation. So Philip Sedgwick describes this point as the cosmic womb. It's like the point of pure potential, infinite potential. So, but at the same time, while it is the point of creation, it is also the point of destruction. So it is creating, destroying, devouring, transforming, constantly in this huge cycle. And if you are working with the Super Galactic Centre in your natal chart, as will be all those people that I talked about earlier, the sort of 1972 to 1973 babies, you are going to potentially recognize what I'm talking about. There is this sense, this insatiable appetite, this almost like void energy. You're always wanting more. Nothing is ever enough. Obviously, it depends which planet, the Super Galactic Centre is aligned within your chart. But for Pluto, this is kind of going to bring constant lessons of power, of control, of feeling disempowered, not ever feeling enough, not ever being able to completely grasp and stand in your power. Or certainly this need to work with it and to work on it and constantly try to transmute old ways in order to bring new ways in, but again, never feeling completely fulfilled, always seeking for something outside of the self, which is also part of the Libra signature, seeking external validation, looking for the self, for the answers somewhere outside of yourself. And of course, the irony is, and what the Super Galactic Centre really is here to teach us and help us realise is that what we are looking for actually lies within, and that until we sort of surrender and just say, okay, I give up, and come in and step into that void, we're never going to really get it. But this is part of the process. As the South Node comes along and activates this point, we are being given this really beautiful opportunity to let go of all those energies that keep us in a state of disempowerment, that keep us sort of attached to old ways that are no longer supporting our growth and our evolution, that keep us attached to and locked into old paradigms, old belief systems, old sort of understanding of the self, old sort of versions of the self that, truly are not going to help us. If we keep standing within that energy and attached to that energy, it prevents us from growing, it prevents us from transforming, to becoming more empowered. And Pluto is helping us to shed, to kind of see what has been hidden, to bring all those sort of secrets, all that unconscious energy, all those issues of control and empowerment and disempowerment to the surface, so that we can transmute, so that we can transform them. And then bang, within either days or weeks, we've got this extra sort of boost with the Super Galactic Centre. And of course, this is really deep, permanent change when this happens. And this is really, really strong regenerative energy. And with the Super Galactic Centre, this is really quick, quantum shifts that can literally take you from one state of being, one version of reality, one dimension into the next in a heartbeat, in a flash. These are quantum shifts, quantum leaps. And really, this is what we're dealing with when we're working with black hole energy. Things can shift on a dime. We can completely shift paradigms if that is the will of source, if that is kind of what we need to do in order to evolve. And we have this really powerful month in December with so many of these cosmic point activations that, starting at the beginning of the month with this new moon in Sagittarius, which is already conjunct fixed star Antares. I talked about that in my last video. We are literally almost on a daily basis going to be experiencing these massive shifts and jumps. This is about releasing all these codependent ideas, beliefs, attachments, relationships, understandings, versions of the self, which, as I said, wherever we are being held back and sort of prevented from growing and stepping into all of who we need to be through that Aries North Node, the Super Galactic Centre, literally as this massive galactic cosmic vacuum cleaner, is literally sucking it all away, transmuting it, not even dissolving it, because that almost suggests this kind of that takes a period of time. It can be instant, especially when there's a black hole and sort of that cosmic energy at play. So we are being stretched at this time for sure. Effectively, the Super Galactic Centre also really plays a big role in literally pulling us back to source and to be able to see exactly who we are in our authentic, pure, unaffected, uninterfered with, unadulterated selves. So, where there are, versions of the self that, simply aren't in alignment with where we need to be going, that is likely to be stripped away, sucked away. If we have anything that is interfering with or preventing us from being our pure, authentic selves, again, that is likely to be stripped away. And this is not necessarily gentle, easy, flowing. I mean, obviously it can be. It depends on, how your chart is set up and how you are navigating the energies and what your level of consciousness is. It kind of creates this just level of complete transparency. And the other kind of idea that I was shown is that because the Super Galactic Centre is essentially like a cosmic mirror. If you think of Libra sort of, being able to see both sides, if we've sort of been stuck in one version of ourselves or one side of the story, unable to see the other, suddenly we have this ability to see ourselves in potentially a completely different light, but almost as if we are seeing ourselves through the eyes of the cosmos, through the eyes of the creator, of source, to see our full potential, and again, the Super Galactic Centre, is a great sort of vehicle or a great tool or a great support in order to help us do that. But as the South Node comes along, it's like, okay, you really need to let go now of anything that is holding you back and keeping you stuck in your comfort zone. Let me show you through the Super Galactic Centre who you could be or who you are when you sort of let go of all those codependencies and all that sort of unhealthy energy that has kept you hidden, kept you trapped. And obviously with the influence of Pluto for, the few of us, it's like kept us in a state of disempowerment or control, unable to step into our full power. So this is a really, really big deal. We are starting to learn that what we have been seeking, that kind of constant search for something, feeling that void, needing more, wanting more, but never quite able to kind of grasp it and hold on to it or even see where it is or understand what it is, we suddenly realize that is actually lies within us. And this is about coming into the self. So again, very much aligned with the North Node in Aries. And this is about mastering ultimately the relationship with ourselves so that we no longer have to attach to things that are holding us back or stopping us from being who exactly it is that we are here to be, and stepping into our power and our sovereignty and really becoming, the leaders that we were all meant to be. I know I've jumped a little bit between the Pluto influence, which isn't actually valid for everybody, but it is also important to notice or to acknowledge that because Pluto is now at 0 degrees of Aquarius, again, Pluto is in a trine to the Super Galactic Centre. So we still do have, even if you don't have natal Pluto in the early degrees of Libra, you are still being influenced by the trine with transiting Pluto in the early degrees of Aquarius. And again, this is about permanent change, permanent transformation and soul growth and soul evolution, truths coming up that really help you to see more of who you are, to see perhaps where there have been codependent relationships, to see exactly what we need to let go of. And again, when Pluto is active, it's hard not to see. It's going to be really obvious. I think somebody commented on one of my videos recently, how will I know? When Pluto's active, it's not a question of how will you know, you will just know. So it's again like, just be open to that. But again, you can't get it wrong and you can't miss it, because Pluto is really thorough and it is really deep. So it is kind of exposing all those aspects of the self that have been hidden, that have kept us disempowered. And of course, I'm talking very much at a very personal level in this video, but there's so many ways we can apply this to the collective and what is going on about things being uncovered and coming to the surface and truths being exposed, again, to release us from that sort of state of disempowerment and codependency, where it is not for our greatest good and where it is effectively unhealthy at the end of the day. So huge themes of regeneration, but ultimately we're going to come out of this hopefully feeling a lot more empowered, a lot more sure of who we are, being able to see who we are. And again, often we can blame other people or external situations for holding us back, but ultimately there is a part of ourselves that has been holding us back for whatever reason, and for a lot of time for a good reason. But we are at this point now, we are about to shed that, to release it and to let it go. And we come into a more sort of fulfilling relationship with the self, which feels more aligned. It feels good. We feel stronger. We feel more confident, more sure of who we are. We can let go of that sort of doubt, that lack, that low self-esteem, that low self-worth, and let go of that constant relying on other people to kind of validate us or tell us that we're on the right path. We won't need that anymore. We're going to know it from within, and it is kind of that ability, that courage and that self-belief to stand in that, to own it, and to just become exactly who we were meant to be. So yeah, it feels super, super powerful. So I really hope that you have resonated with really what I've shared. I know it kind of feels like a pipe dream, and it's it sounds amazing, and there is part of me, the kind of like the human part, the ego part, going, oh, well, it can't be that simple surely, because everything is so hard. It's such hard work. But actually, because this is black hole energy, because this is a cosmic point, and I will acknowledge that we have this activation every 18 years, that the nodes sort of come back to the same point. So if you've got your south node in Libra, you will be having a nodal return at this time. If you've got your south node in Aries, you're having a part lunar return, part nodal return, or half nodal return. So this does happen every 18 years, but the difference is, this time we've got we've got Pluto and Aquarius in this grand trine. And of course, I haven't talked in this video about the fact that Sedna is at the early degrees of Gemini, so she is playing a part in this grand galactic grand trine where the energies are really supporting each other. But yeah, there's certainly a lot to be excited about, I feel. And how powerful is it that in the final degrees, or the final sort of 6 weeks of this nodal axis and the journey of the nodes through this nodal axis, we have this huge cosmic meeting, effectively to catapult us out of one state of being into the new, into something that is almost beyond our imagination. So yeah, let's see how it transpires. Let's see how it manifests. I think, often the changes can be subtle, but if you are sensitive and you really stop and take the time to tune in, you are going to be aware. You're going to feel those pushes to kind of start to step into maybe a different version of the self. You're going to feel that push to step into a new version of the self for sure. And my advice would be, if it feels scary, if you feel like, you're really having to push yourself and you're going out of your comfort zone, and I'm going through that precise thing right now, go for it. Because if you feel the fear, that is where the growth is, and that is where the magic lies as well. I mean, obviously, if it's creating risk and danger, then that's not what I'm talking about. But if you feel like that kind of sort of, the excitement, but also the, oh my God, this feels like huge and I don't know if I'm doing it and I'm scared, and again, just go for it. Take that leap of faith, because that is how we evolve, and that is how we take this quantum leap. So thank you as always for watching my my video, and let me know what you think. If you kind of share your birthday with me, sort of, those early 1970s kids, then it's likely you're going to resonate with a lot. But like I said, it is a collective transit, so it is for everybody what I have just shared. So thanks very much. I'll be back soon.